Last Saturday, on April 7th in the PE Center, the 34th Annual CNIA Powwow attracted large crowds of both students and dedicated dancers and drummers. It was held by the Circle of Nations Indigenous Association Club on the UMM campus. According to the statement given in their agenda for the day, powwows are gatherings Native American people use as a place to dance, sing, and strengthen their rich culture. The powwow held various different competitive dances throughout the day, including both men's and women's traditional, men's grass dances, men's fancy dances, women's jingle dances, and women's fancy shawl dances. Each of these dances featured Native people in elaborate and impressive full sets of regalia, and the Master of Ceremonies and campus elder in residence, Jerry Dearly, helping to call out and direct both the dancers and the crowd watching them. To Dearly, a powwow like this is more than just an event.
I grew up a dancer, and when I was 24, I became a singer. And probably around 1979, I became an announcer because of my background experience in dancing and singing. And to this day, I'm still doing the announcing.
So it's important for you?
Not important for me. It's a way of life for me. And people ask me to come. I don't have any. You can find me on YouTube. That's how people find me. I don't really advertise. I don't know what that means. People ask me to come, I come. I know they'll take care of me.
Micah Whitecloud, co-chair for CNIA, was helping to run the behind-the-scenes part of the powwow and was willing to answer a few questions on what it meant to her.
Well, it means a lot to me. I'm a powwow person myself. I travel quite a bit during the summer, and I'm usually not on campus very many times out of the year. I like to powwow. I'm always powwowing. I come from a long family of powwow people, so it's nice to have this powwow and have the opportunity to help out with it and help run things. I get really restless or antsy if I haven't had a powwow in a while. For me, it's a release, and it's a it's a community of people that just make you feel good, and it's a good vibes, it's good dancing. It's such a release from the normal world that I love that I can do.
Gabe DeRosier, a professor at UMM and the arena director for the powwow, echoed Micah's feelings.
Well, it means a lot because it's part of my culture and it's part of my tradition. I have a long history of being a part of the song and dance traditions of the Anishinaabe. That includes being a dancer and also a singer and a composer of Anishinaabe music. I have a long history in that. My grandfathers before me were medicine men. They were drum keepers. They lived a ceremonial life way. And so I grew up learning that at a very early age, and I've been carrying that on for many years, and currently still doing it for various types of powwows, like contest powwow, traditional powwows, general powwows. And so it means a lot to me to carry that on. As a dancer and as a singer, it's really important because it gives me the opportunity to participate, whether if I'm dancing grass or if I bring my drum group. I'm able to share the Anishinaabe songs, the old traditional songs, and also newer songs that I compose in a contemporary setting. So it gives me a chance to share music and to share that knowledge. That's how it is.
Gus Claymore, the Associate Director for Multi-Ethnic Student Programs at UMM, also finds joy in helping organize the powwow and feels that people unfamiliar with the tradition should be included as well.
Well, I've had several years of experience working with, a higher education powwow. So it's just an honor and a privilege just to be able to, bring this large group together just to celebrate, and that's what a powwow is all about. Have an opportunity to meet, relatives, friends, make new friends and things like that, and able to showcase song, dance, food, art stuff, which is great. That's what powwow is all about. I think if you have a chance to go to a powwow, you'll be able to kind of figure out or understand what the different dances are all about. We hand programs out, so people can kind of research and view the dances, the different dance styles and things like that. So I think that's what it's all about. What we're trying to do is get the community engaged and just showcase, our culture, our rich culture and heritage to, community members that don't know much about, a gathering like this. So.
Do community members come out to these events?
Yeah, we hope. We see, but I'd say 90% of the people that are in this building today are probably coming from a distance. So, but the other 10 are probably hopefully community members.
Vendors were also present at the powwow, selling various traditionally made items like beadwork and dream catchers, and also selling more modern items like t-shirts that say, "Party like it's 1491." One of them, Wendy L. Roy, elaborated on why it's so important for her to go to powwows.
For me, it's a connection to my ancestors. I wasn't raised traditionally. It was a decision my mom and dad specifically made at one time. They thought if we weren't raised traditionally, we maybe would get further out in the Western world, the white world. So the first powwow that I remember going to, I was 18 and I couldn't get anyone in my family to go with me. And I really didn't know what to do. More importantly, I didn't know what not to do. I didn't want to offend anybody. I didn't want to do the wrong thing. So I was a little nervous, but ever since, and I was 18 years old, and ever since then I go as often as I can.
Darren Lee Cook Jr., a student at UMM and a longtime dancer, spoke about how powwows like these are sustaining factors in some people's lives.
I feel like powwows can mean a lot of different things to the community, but most importantly, I feel like for our community, it's like a time for us to like come together almost and set stuff aside and actually celebrate life or whatever. But I also think in a way it's like the powwow community, the powwow circuit is kind of like a smaller world almost. I mean, to me it's like a bigger world, but the economy, the economic part of powwows and stuff, I feel like that's the economy that we have here, and what we're doing here is supporting the economy, the powwow trail or whatever. So I feel like not only is it helping us come together as a community, it's also supporting, the vendors and stuff. It's helping them get to the next powwow, or like Jerry Dearly, we're paying him, I'm sure he needs the money and stuff, and it's not all about the money, but whenever you have a group of people that relate to each other in terms of colonization and assimilation and the system today, how it's not set up for indigenous peoples to thrive or whatever. So our economy is definitely supporting that, and the powwow definitely would help. I mean, it definitely contributes towards those things.
Roy, one of the people supported by this type of economy, emphasized the relationships that develop in the powwow sphere.
I think for community, it builds a really strong sense of belonging. Even among the vendors, we're not the dancers, and I'm sure the dancers probably have a community like that too. So even within the powwow community, you have these little smaller communities where if I wasn't at a show, one of them would call me. Is there something wrong? Are you okay? Were you sick? Kind of a thing. It's we kind of watch out for each other, and sometimes we'll follow each other down the road. So if someone has car trouble, you're not stranded out in the middle of nowhere by yourself. So you get to be like a family.
DeRosier also believes that powwows help a community reach back to its roots.
They try to preserve history, language, culture, song and dance traditions. So it means a lot to the community because we're able to pass that on to the younger generations, for them to learn song and dance protocols, and just to be a part of that, because it is really a really important component to self-identity, a place of knowing and being and having that understanding.
So what have UMM powwows looked like in the past?
very small. They were traditional powwows, 5 or 6 drums, 1 host drum. There are several other conflicting powwows around the area. All of a sudden, this contest powwow came about, and look at how many people are here. Look at 16 drums are here. That's a lot of singing groups that are here for a contest powwow for a one day.
You know what? It used to be a traditional powwow where we didn't pay out dancers or drums or dancers or drums. So that's the difference. We're able to, offer money in each dance category, and that's what kind of attracts the good dancers that we have today.
This is larger than I remember it being. The year that I came before, it was a lot smaller and there weren't as many people here, so this is really cool to see a lot more people. I think the other powwow that I came to was not a contest powwow here, so contest powwows are run just a little bit differently and you get a little bit different people attending, so it's just seeing some people that I probably don't see very often.
I think this is our 3rd year being a contest powwow. So it normally was like a traditional powwow. Like this year we cut out the feast, and that was kind of like a big part of our powwow. In the past, like we always fed our guests that came here, but this year we didn't feed them. So it's changing now. It's different than it was in the past, but it's that, like anything that evolves, like our powwow is definitely different from the past. But from the past, I think, yeah, it was just more traditional. I want to say there was less drummers and more dancers, probably.
In the beginning, they offered powwows in a general setting. There was no contest. There was no contest dancing for monetary purposes. It was just strictly to bring together folks to enjoy singing and dancing and renewing friendships and making old friendships. And so it was more of a traditional setting. For many years it was like that. It has just been recently, I think the last 4 years now, that UMM has turned their powwow into a contest. And the reason why they did that was because it seemed like the attendance was low. There was no participation, no one was coming. And as soon as we turned it into a contest, it seems like we attracted a lot more people.
And why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it is, native singers and dancers. They like that competitiveness in terms of song and dance. And we've always been like that historically. We've always competed, for example, in certain games like the moccasin game. It was always competitive. It was always kind of like a gambling. And so when you look at powwows in a contest sense, it's the same thing, but it's also an opportunity for singers and dancers to participate and show that expression through dance.
So what can be learned from a powwow? For Cook Jr., it's a sense of tradition.
Well, for me, like personally, I've been to powwows like all my life. When I was younger, I always remember being at powwows and stuff, but I feel like you can learn a lot, from sitting around the circle and being in the circle. You can spend your entire life trying to learn, like native culture or what it means to be Anishinaabe and like all this other stuff and not get close to, fully understanding that. But I feel like day by day, the more you surround yourself by that or whatever, the more you're in that circle and the more you're in that community, I feel like, the smaller things all kind of come together and you like learn, you learn like etiquette, you learn how to respect people, you learn how like the different song structures work, the different dances, all that other stuff, and you learn to like have respect for those things. And I feel like for me, when I was younger, when I grew up in like high school not too long ago, actually, I like chose to leave my home and I like wasn't able to like participate in powwows or whatever as much as I wanted to. So like being here at this powwow, or any powwow actually, you know, definitely contributes towards like a better understanding of what it means to be myself, you know.
And for Michael Whitecloud, it's learning what it takes to pull off a successful powwow.
So I've pretty much experienced every single type of powwow. I've been to countless over the years, but I think like the new aspect that I'm learning is like behind the scenes, like the people that run the powwows. As a co-chair now, helping run the powwow is a different experience, and I think it's pretty cool.
What are the difficulties that come with trying to organize a powwow?
There are a lot. We have a lot of different committees, which is very helpful, but Morris is kind of a weird situation because normally at other universities, the faculty or they'll hire outside people to come in and run the powwow, and CNIA's powwow is completely student-led. So it's very, very much different situation than most powwows, and I think it's really cool that the students are in charge and get to make the decisions. And we've had some difficulties with our communication styles and different communicating efficiently with everyone, but we're finally, I think, getting the hang of it. I think next year we'll have an even better powwow.
So what can one look forward to the most when going to a powwow? For many, it's the feeling of belonging.
I have a lot of family here that I love to see, and like they're not typical family as like from a white man's perspective that you would see. I have adopted family members that I get to see at powwows that I really enjoy talking to. I have friends here that are really near and dear to my heart, and I get to see them here and get to like share a little bit of my home with them, and that's pretty cool.
I feel like I look forward to a lot of different things when I attend a powwow, but I feel like I said before, I feel like I enjoy being around people that are like not like me. I mean, I'm not trying to put it that way, but I'm saying like I enjoy seeing familiar people. You know, I enjoy being around that community because there's a lot of culture. There's a lot of there's rich culture, you know, in the United States still in terms of like indigenous peoples, and I feel like I look forward to like celebrating that and, you know, like uplifting, you know, others, and like being able to dance for maybe even like the people that, you know, can't dance, or like being here for the people that necessarily can't be here, you know, like for other, I don't know, for their own reasons or whatever. But I feel like for me, I look forward to celebrating life and being able to like pray in like a really good way.
When I show up, I see old friends. It could be a relative or something that I haven't seen for a while that you know, are participating in the powwow circuit. So that's what it is. And also, I make new friends too. So American Indian people are very social people, and this is how we showcase it and show it is a celebration like this.
Gus Claymore also lays out the goal of a good powwow.
I think just introducing, you know, the different dances, what the significance are between jingle dress dancing or fancy dance category, the different songs, some of our spirituality. We have some spiritual people in there that are, you know, that can pray and things like that. We can showcase our regalia, some of the traditional stuff with the feathers and all that.
Wendy Roy too feels that spirituality is an important part of the powwow experience.
Well, I love being at powwows because the spiritual connection I get, like, I don't know, my mom always says, you know, it's something that feeds your soul. You can tell when you come home that you're happy. You know, even if you haven't made a whole lot of money or whatever, it's just seeing the people and, you know, interacting with them. Sometimes I go out and dance, the boys and I. And it just means a lot to be at a place where a powwow's going on.
So what's something important for people to know about powwows? For Roy, it's the accessibility.
I think if someone has never been to a powwow before and they're not sure, you know, if it's okay to go, that we'll find out that you get more and more visitors at powwows, so that the MC does a lot of teaching when they're talking during a powwow. They'll let people know when it's okay to take pictures or when it's not. They'll let you know when it's time to stand or remove your hat, that kind of a thing. So, like the first time that I went to a powwow at 18 and I was afraid of doing something wrong, I think nowadays you don't have to worry about that so much because people let you know, and they do it in a friendly way, you know, like they'll say, oh, you shouldn't take pictures right now, you know, or something like that. you know. So I just think it's more of a teaching moment.
White Cloud feels that important to note about powwows is the representation they give of Native people.
Well, for me, I think what's important is that people know, like, this isn't our everyday. Like, I'm a normal student outside of powwows. I have a laptop. I wear normal clothes. I'm very much a modern girl in every sense, and that powwows are a way to express our culture and to live our culture and experience our culture. But I think an important part of it is like to realize that natives are still here. They're still thriving, that we're still a part of this world, and that we deserve to have a voice. And I think that I would really like for like people to understand that it most is that natives are still here and we're still thriving. Because I know like even like going to University of Minnesota Morris, which has like a 20% student body of Native Americans, but like a lot of them don't know where they come from or how their like teachings are. And I think it's really cool that they can come here and see like a little bit of what our resistance looks like, because powwows are a form of resistance in every single way that they were created. They were created through oppression, assimilation, and colonization, just like Darren said, and this is our resistance and our show of power through it, that we are still here, we're still thriving, we're still very much a part of the world, and that people need to recognize that, like, that natives are not some forgotten thing in the past, that we're still here, and we're going to stay here, we're going to continue to thrive and do what's best.
Among many people, there was a shared feeling that the goal of a powwow was the connections it fostered.
Oh, I think building community. I think it's always been about that.
I mean, I feel like the overall goal for sure is definitely to build a better community, and educate people who don't know how to respectfully, go about things.
I think the goal of a powwow is to bring everyone together and get everybody in good moods, good singing, good dancing, and to let the community kind of like just take a breath and be like, okay, this is, we're going to have fun. This is our way of having fun. We're going to release the stress that we've had during the week, maybe win some money, maybe see some family members that we haven't seen in a while. And I think the goal of powwow is to connect everyone and let them just take that moment to be like, okay, we're going to be okay.
When there's a native group somewhere, like here at Morris, it's a treaty school. They waive fees because according to treaty. And somebody woke up around here and decided to say we have an awareness of American Indian students on campus. In this case, today, I heard 300. So it's for that reason that the whole border regions and the whole University of Minnesota Morris got together in collaboration with the students, come up with this powwow.
So you feel it's about uniting people?
That's right.
Another important goal, though, is the ability for Native culture to be made available to otherwise unaware people.
Just showcasing, the different dances and songs and arts. We showcase our where we have arts and craft vendors as well that are handmade by American Indian people. So and that's what we can showcase.
I think to acknowledge who we are as Native people, but also to share and create opportunities for, especially for non-Indians, to understand who Native people are. Why do they sing and dance? That kind of thing.
White Cloud and Cook both shared that the feeling of dancing in a powwow was unlike any other.
There's not like a feeling that can describe it. It's you in that moment. It's like irreversibly you. You get to be who you want to be in those moments that you're dancing. Like there's some points where it sucks because you're out of shape and you can't move, like, and you're just like, I'm slow, I can't do this. And then you have that moment where it's just like amazing, and it's a rush, and adrenaline is a big thing. I feel like a lot of us powwow people are adrenaline junkies because you get a rush of adrenaline while you're dancing, and it's just an incredible feeling, especially like when you're out there with your best friends. Like it's such a cool feeling. Like I know one of my friends, we're usually at every powwow that we go to, and her name's Mia, and like when we see each other we just smile when we're in the arena. There's like nothing that can contain that happiness, and it's such a good feeling. And then like having people come up to you and being like, I felt you, like I felt you dancing, and I feel thank you for giving me that feeling. It's just like that's why we dance, and that's a really like there's not a real feeling to describe dancing. And it's like there is competition, and obviously like you can get disappointment and stuff like that, but it's not like most dancers will tell you it's not about that. It's about that feeling that you get.
Yeah, I feel like it's an opportunity to like express yourself and also dance for people. Like I said before, like dance for people, you know, who necessarily can't dance. For me, it's yeah, I think Micah explained it pretty good.
So how might the CNIA powwow look different in the future?
So I see myself as a powwow person expanding the powwow and maybe including head men and head women dancers that will bring in their own specials, their own people, that we can expand it and have a bigger and better powwow. You know, I think this is a good start, especially after this being our like 3rd or 4th year of having contest powwows. But we can get contest powwows pretty big, and I think like that'd be the goal in the next 2 years that I'm here, is to expand the powwow more. And just like we need more specials, we need more engagement at our powwows, because most powwows like have a lot of specials, like especially powwows that people want to go to have a lot of specials. And I think that's like what I would like to do and change about our powwow as a whole, is just to add more. But I think that's what I can definitely see, is it expanding. I don't think it will ever revert back to a traditional powwow. I think we're gonna keep it a contest powwow and keep it going. And I think like the biggest difference will probably be our expansion, but other than that, I don't see much changing.
I don't know. I think the only difference would probably be maybe they'll get larger and attract more people and stuff. So I think that pretty much, you know, powwow is pretty consistent with other powwows and, you know, around the United States and stuff.
So it takes one powwow at a time, but the last, I think, 3 years, it has really improved.
Yeah.
I think the last 3 years.
So you think it'll get bigger?
I think it will get bigger.
From community to spirituality, there are many things that a powwow like the one organized by CNIA can bring to many people. It is the hope of this reporter that he will get another chance to experience another beautiful powwow soon. From TBH News, this has been Tom BH.